I'm Danny Dyer, and this is the Real Football Factories. I played Tommy Johnson in the movie The Football Factories, which was all about football violence. Fucking nutters. But that was just acting. Now I'm on a journey around the country meeting the real firms who have mass offs at football matches for real. No fake blood, no stuntmen, no makeup. This time it's just me and the country's hardest hooligans. Let's go. Let's go. I meet the real top boys who tell you the score. Welcome to the Real Football Factories. In this show, we're talking to football firms in the Midlands. We're going to be learning about some of the big issues surrounding these firms. We're going to examine the issue of race. Now, the Midlands is a multicultural area, but is that reflected in the firms? I mean, the stereotypical hooligan is a racist, but is that really the case in the Midlands?
All I ever wanted to be as a child was a football hooligan.
It was just a tour of excitement and entertainment for us.
We didn't go out to kill each other. It's a bit of fun. To me, it's always been a bit of fun.
The Midlands is a culturally rich and diverse region. Birmingham and Leicester are among the most ethnically mixed cities in the country, while elsewhere in the region, the home of the Industrial Revolution, a strong sense of community and identity has developed through generations of industrial hardship. The Midlands roughly stretches from the Stoke in the north to Stratford-upon-Avon in the south, and from Leicester in the east to Wolverhampton in the west. My journey is going to take me to all corners of the Midlands where I'm going to meet firms with feared reputations across the UK. My aim is to learn the inside story to these firms. I had a little rumour that your pal in the firm could give up heroin but couldn't give up being a hooligan, is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
And meet the real people, hear the real stories behind the screaming headlines proclaiming the latest hooligan outrage.
I would like to think that something very quick can happen along the lines of the Birch. Let's start walloping the bullies and getting rid of the bullies in our society.
Get down! The Midlands as an area is a kind of strange area because it falls into that void in many ways between London and between the north. There's industrial heritage, there's hardship, but similarly there's been huge immigration into the Midlands, and if you actually look at the successes in terms of racial integration, Birmingham is held up as a cultural melting pot, and it very much is. And I think the history of Birmingham City Football Club is absolutely totally linked to that.
So Birmingham is where I start my journey, a city that suffered from racial tension in the 70s.
This country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
Racial tension in the 70s in Birmingham was standard. You had politicians like Enoch Powell doing speeches on the rivers of blood, and then you had groups like the National Front who were always marching and saying, you know, get them out of the country, they're robbing our jobs.
2, 4, 6, 8, we don't want to integrate.
This is Rob Goulding. Reports are coming in of a bomb attack in the centre of Birmingham.
The Irish in the city were also targets for racial abuse. After IRA bombs killed 19 people in 1974. These oppressed groups formed an unlikely alliance.
Black and Irish felt a camaraderie together with each other. Also with other white people who knew the culture of these two different people.
They originally came together in a firm called Apex, which evolved into the infamous Zulu Warriors at the start of the 80s.
Police say the gang, the Zulu Warriors, often armed with clubs and knives, have been responsible for a reign of terror for the last 3 years.
The Zulus as a gang are noticeable. They really are noticeable for the fact that they are a mixed-race football hooligan gang. And while you do get black lads in other hooligan firms, you don't tend to find the same mix.
After the break, I'm going to meet the Zulus myself, and being a Cockney on foreign ground, this could prove interesting. My journey through the Midlands firm starts in the country's second city, In 1982, the Zulu Warriors, Birmingham City's infamous mixed-race hooligan gang, was formed. Fans chanted the word Zulu at a Man City away game, and the firm was born. Like the African warriors in the Michael Caine film, the Birmingham Zulus took no prisoners, and their war cry sent a chill down the spine of opposing firms, as I'm about to find out. Let's have it. Now I know how Michael Caine felt. The top boys agreed to talk to us if we protect his identity.
I think it's the most famous chant down the football. If you're walking on a Tuesday night or whatever night it is, there's 400 lads and they chant the name Zulu. It's fucking very intimidating.
What it gave to us was, it's a camaraderie thing. These are my brothers. If I'm walking up the road, I look to my left and my right, he's a good lad, he's a good lad. Behind me, he's a good lad, he's a good lad. They're all from different areas of Birmingham. If something happens and it's really, really, really on top, these people will back me up.
It's called the Zulu line. It don't matter if there's a fucking 100 of you or 10 of you. Once you make that line, once the line's made, fucking, I've never seen it broken many a times, you know what I mean?
You ever gone for a fight and you've seen 200 black people combined with white people frowning at you with veins in their neck and their eyes are popping out their head with spit coming out their mouths? It's a different kettle of fish because most people are not used to seeing that many people coming to fight you, especially when they're black and white.
The Zulus reflected a fusion of black and white culture at a street level in Birmingham.
How important was the music scene for the Zulus?
The bands that were coming through in the late 70s, you know, bands like the Specials, the Beat, UB40, they brought a lot of camaraderie together between black and white.
And you could fight to that fucking music. It was fantastic for having a battle too in a fucking disco.
In the early 80s, young Zulus were being inspired by the hip-hop movement growing in New York at the time, called the Zulu Nation.
One track that did it, Zulu Nation, was Africa Bambata, the Soul Sonic Force, and the track was called Planet Rock. Planet Rock! It's very easy to change your dance moves to martial arts. So a lot of the guys who came from the dance scene were good fighters. Just as the Zulu Nation would do, we went with all our colours on, with all the clothes, but we also brought our favourite music. So we brought a ghetto blaster. It was like a carnival day for us. We were just having a laugh. We were walking around the shopping centre, you know, with this big stereo playing reggae music, you know, 400-handed, and everyone was like, who the bloody hell are these lot? And we were walking around, scarves up round our necks and everything.
At the core of the Zulus was terrifying warrior-like aggression.
When you see hundreds of people running towards you, your legs shake, your mouth goes dry, you look at your friends, you look for a space in the road, you find your space, you start to jump, you try to shake the shakiness out of your legs, you get your position and you're ready and you look at your mates, this is it, and you're waiting for it to land. A bit like Braveheart, when the English are come, hold, hold, yeah!
You'd wake up in the morning before a big game at 6:30 in the morning to get yourself ready, tingling.
I'll get up, do my stretching, put my legs up and think, I want to kick some fucking ass today and go home.
When Leeds travelled to Birmingham for the last game of the season in 1985, it sparked some of the worst football violence ever seen in Britain. More than 1,000 hooligans were involved at the height of battle.
Leeds were proper racing. Every time we went to Leeds, you heard like Vic hailing. And that's why you got a lot of lads that weren't even into football, black lads that were just like lads on the town that used to firm up because Leeds were coming to town. Blues fans reacted in a way that I've never seen them react ever. They just completely invaded the pitch. About 1,000, all the Leeds jumped back in their end, and now you just watched in amazement about what was going on. And that went on till about 6 o'clock on the evening.
Have you ever seen, like, Saving Private Ryan or Platoon? Combine them without the bullets and you've got Blues Leeds. It wasn't just going in one area, it was going all over the place. It was absolutely crazy.
The St Andrews ground was more like a battlefield than a soccer pitch on Saturday as football fans waged war on the police. 125 were arrested, while nearly 200, including 96 policemen, were injured.
Tragically, a 15-year-old Leeds fan died after a wall collapsed on him at the ground. In the mid-80s, hooliganism was at its height and at its most shocking. The Junior Zulus continue the reputation of the firm today. The explosion of gang culture in Birmingham means there may not be the same numbers of black hooligans in the Zulu firm, but the principles of togetherness still apply.
The Zulu is one, a whole, right? That means older lads.
It's no black
20, 30 years ago.
It's all together.
Yeah, we are one.
What colour, what, how old, one, all one. And that's the goodness of our firm.
Being a Zulu has many fringe benefits, including contacts on the city's nightclub scene. No queuing for these guys.
The only people that can take the piss in Birmingham, really, was us. Walk into any fucking nightclub, no one's saying boo to us. We really won the fucking show down here.
Tight.
The next stop on my journey was one of Birmingham's biggest rivals in the Midlands, Stoke City. They met in the 5th round of the FA Cup in 2006. It was the first time the sides had met in 8 years, and crowd trouble was anticipated.
This is Signal 1, first for news. The latest at 8 o'clock. I'm Tom Cook. Up to 200 football hooligans between 16 and 56 were arrested after what police have described as the worst. Police say a group of Birmingham supporters broke a section of Britannia Stadium. Hooligans from both clubs clashed at the end of the match. Superintendent Andy Frank.
If violent criminals been able to get together after the match, then we would have been looking at people with very serious.
Many people predicted it. No football fan wanted to see it.
Inside, Birmingham supporters trying to get out onto this south stand, east stand. We've got a confrontation.
Birmingham City's FA Cup tie at the Britannia Stadium ended with fans hurling stones, abuse, and eventually violent clashes.
Right, I'm in Stoke. I'm going to meet their firm. I can hear them piping up already. Now, they're called the Naughty 40 now. I'm not being funny, but that sounds like a porn mag to me. Now, my mother always said to me, never judge a book by its cover, so if that's the case, this should be a right naughty little outfit. Let's have it. The Naughty 40 formed in 1985. After 40 hardcore Stoke hooligans travelled to Portsmouth for a naughty tear-up with Pompey's firm. Right, boys. Thank you for talking to me. I appreciate this. Cheers, sunshine. Thank you. Cheers, boys. Listen, first of all, I've met a few firms, right? I'm going to ask you straight up. Be straight down the line with me. Football Factory. Did we pull it out of the bag? I know it's about Cockneys, right? Was it true?
Yeah, but we're not happy about them two Stoke fans that got fucked on that service.
What the fuck are you doing? Two of them Stoke fans that done us over there. Drop them now. We'd be late for the meet.
Fuck them, they kicked the shit out of us.
No, the Gathers are over there. I'll give you fucking no.
Fucking idiots. I got on my hands up. I had a little turnout with a couple of Stoke fans. I come up on top, right? I'm not getting Larry now. I'm surrounded by about 800 of you.
For Mark Chester and his firm, one word seems to sum up their philosophy.
You know, there's a certain code in this town. It's called respect.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take F-T-C-P.
Jeez, we were watching people. Oscar!
I'm here, mate.
Can you sort the noise out behind me, please?
There's a lot of respect that goes with the culture, and it's got to be adhered to. So, you know, you can be a hooligan one minute, and next minute you're out on the bones of your arse from one mistake. Gone. You know, it's important to keep within the rules.
In a town where there isn't that much glamour going on, something that makes you stand out
as a bit of an adventurer, a bit of a swashbuckler. A lot of lads off estates would look on the lads that went to football as pirates, if you like. And so that's what they wanted to do, because it would break them away from the life that they saw set out in front of them.
Don't know about a naughty 40. There's tons of them in this pub, and they back each other on a day-to-day basis.
Everybody that's involved with our firm and our culture, like all the aunties and the uncles and all that knock-on effect, they'll only use one travel agent in Stoke-on-Trent or one car hire firm, simply because someone who's in the firm owns it. And it's, you know, we keep it within our world. We do look after each other, and it's most important that we're all happy and together and secure, and that nobody struggles. And that, you know, if anybody goes to prison, you have to make sure that the kids have got the right trainers on at school and things like that, and nobody suffers, and that's what it's about. We all chip in, we look after each other. The family will never go away.
It's our own old boy network. We haven't got an old school tie, but we've got the old lad network.
Come from our culture, you tend to push yourself to the extremes. You know, you take enjoyment out of being afraid.
We only ever viewed it as the most extreme of extreme sports. Oxford has that extreme sports club where they do things like ski down the side of a hill, and if they hit a tree and break their leg, it's all a jolly good laugh. And that's not frowned on. That's just like youthful high spirits. They probably tie up the NHS more than we've ever done on a weekend.
There's a few of us who are going through like a transition period in life, learning to cope with life outside of the firm. Football. And it's difficult.
Yeah.
You know, when you've been committed to something for like the best part of your life, 3 decades of your life, and then all of a sudden, you know, you don't have that fix, that buzz anymore. It can be pretty difficult and mundane trying to cope with normal life.
Once you've pitted yourself to that height of adrenaline rush, how do you stop doing that? How do you turn that down? Even though we've retired from the active side of this culture, it will never, ever leave us because we're hopelessly addicted to it. We are addicts. Believe me. We're addicted.
Do you really want to kill me? Tell me why, tell me why, tell me why.
Football firms are a 24/7 lifestyle choice. But what exactly are the detrimental effects of this football violence addiction? To learn more, I'm heading for the Black Country to meet the top boy at Wolverhampton's Yam Yam Army.
Why should I live in fear?
I don't drink, I don't touch drugs, I don't smoke. I don't want to. I want to see the stones coming. I want to see the punches coming. Pissed up man can't see the punches coming. The adrenaline rush of 2 groups of lads running at each other, battling, just bump straight in, and back out, then straight in again. And the rush is so, it's like on the same par as sex.
Gilly's Yam Yam Army, named after Black Country slang for the words "you are," was gaining respect in the Midlands for organising football violence and outwitting the old Bill.
You just think how the police would think and do the opposite. You say, how would you get there? So say like you got to Stoke, you get off at Stafford, get taxis in. We all went to Leicester the once. The old Bill was all outside. The mate went, he ordered, I think it was about 30 taxis. And the bloke said, fuck off, you madness. I said, no, we want 30 taxis. We jumped in the taxis, out the back, and fucked off. The old Bill come in, lost us. Where the fuck are they gone?
The effects of hooliganism are clear. Jail and banning orders. Gilly was in prison for 9 months after an incident relating to a Stoke match in 1994.
It's hard. It is really hard. I don't care. Anybody these fools that say I can do jail on my head, let them do them on their head. They've got to walk out on the 2 feet though.
The lights had burned all night at Wensfield Police Station in the heart of the Black Country. Inside, West Midlands Police prepared for the biggest operation ever mounted against suspected football hooligans.
We got done in Operation Growth. It was get rid of Wolverhampton troublesome hooligans. And it was like 68 of us got arrested. We all got a 5-year ban. Altogether now, I've been banned. I've been banned 13 years out of 15. That's some reckoning. I don't want to get in no more trouble. I don't want to. Too old for it now. I've had me fun.
The youth firm at Wolves have now taken over from Gilly's generation. If they ever need expert legal advice, they could turn to Gilly, who's drawing on his own experiences and studying for a diploma in criminology.
You just look at the lads, you see yourself, you know what I mean? I don't want to let people do the same what I've done. So it's time to tell the young lads, don't get yourself in trouble, lads. Not for the likes of them fucking idiots, the police.
After the break, I head for the East Midlands to meet the real families behind the region's firms.
You all smell lovely as well. Thank you.
Forget footballers' wives. We're meeting hooligans' wives.
Hooligans' wives. Much more money than them anyway.
One of the bitterest rivalries in the Midlands is between two clubs that are just 14 miles apart. Nottingham Forest and Derby. Clubs linked in many ways, not least by the fact that Brian Clough managed them both in their footballing heydays.
Brian Clough helped both sides to win the championship in the 70s, and then famously led Forest to European Cup victories in 1979 and 1980. But the rivalry off the pitch seems just as important to both firms. It's existed for decades.
Violence did erupt away from the baseball ground when a mob of nearly 400 youths attacked the police.
The Police Football Intelligence Unit is classing tomorrow night's fixture as a Category A match.
A high police presence for a highly charged game.
There's been trouble at Forest and Derby matches since the 60s. And when Forest played Derby, we could pull 400 or 500 out. And so they could probably double their numbers.
I suppose it's like taking over someone's town for the day on the beer, you know what I mean? But Derby do it a lot up there, but last time Forest come down here, a fucking Zeppelin flew over in the sky.
Honestly, the rivalry is very bitter. It's underneath, goes very deep. And I don't think it'll ever end.
Nottingham Forest's firm is known as the Forest Executive Crew, while Derby's is the Derby Lunatic Fringe. But in the middle of this intense rivalry, a unique friendship has formed between top boys from each firm. This can be traced back to a clash in Nottingham city centre over 20 years ago. In 1984, Derby's firm joined forces with Leicester hooligans to take on Forest in their backyard.
It was a lad's birthday, and everyone decided to go to Nottingham for a bit of, on the piss and that. Known a few Leicester guys from the years before from football and that. So we joined, just thought we'd join together. That's where it came from, DLA, Derby Leicester Alliance. So all the lads went to Nottingham, 100 and something. I think about 129 went there. And having a piss up in the pub, and Nottingham got wind that a load of Derby was there in Leicester.
So we sent scouts to the train station. We all met at 5:30. Then we were all in Yates's. I think we had about 150 to 200 out on a summer's evening. The scouts come back, they're here. And they all come up to the market square. And it was just a free-for-all.
Chaotic, really, do you know what I mean? We was only there for the beer. But obviously it turned into a bit of a riot.
Bricks, bottles, glasses, the lot went. Massive free-for-all. Everyone was scrapping all over the square. And it carried on. The police eventually got it together in the market square. It just carried on all throughout the city.
After scenes compared in court to a Northern Ireland battlefield, 63 youths were prosecuted, including Boatsy and Tomo.
You was one of the ones that got banged up, yeah?
Yeah. We spent 3 weeks in court together. That's how we didn't know each other before then.
No.
And then we got sent to North Sea camp in Boston together.
Okay.
And
so you was enemies.
Yeah, even the there to begin with was enemies.
Yeah.
And you just grow on each other.
Yeah, I suppose when you're banged up together, I suppose you
got
do.
to stick together, ain't you?
Well, I had to look after him in there. You know what I mean? He was a bit scared like that.
You know, used to getting banged up, enemies on the outside, you'd be enemies in the nick as well. But you've always had to think, right, we've got to come together and look after each other.
Stick together, yeah.
Well, we all did. We said we all stick together. Football has to stick together. Forget all the bits of rivalry between us on the outside. We all stay together.
It's exactly the same scenario. Outside here, we've got our firm, we bond. Inside prison, you're all together, you bond. It's the same. It's protection. It's a movement in itself.
Look, I've got to go, mate. My man's here. Hello. Good to see you, son.
In the Football Factory film, the top boys in the Chelsea and Millwall firms associate on a business level, but still go toe-to-toe at the slightest opportunity.
Would you fucking say, you mug? You fucking heard, you fat fucking Chelsea. Look at you cunt.
But Boatsy and Tomo seem genuine mates, and that's thrown up some interesting stories when Forest and Derby's firms have clashed, and the pair have been on the front line.
Right on my head.
Last time, so it was on the back of your head.
Front line. Front line. He was at front line, and then he went, sorry, it wasn't me. It wasn't. Then all we see was his tails when we went up the road. Obviously,
that's respect to among the lads,
we legged him up the road then.
Yeah.
Job done, right?
Sure you did.
He apologised.
Can that too, mate? When I saw you broken down in tears, mate, what more can I do? Do you know what I mean? Fuck, I don't see me mate crying, do I?
The mutual respect between these top boys is clear for all to see.
Tactical. You're mates, you can't fight each other, no matter what the situation, do you know what I mean? I'm more likely to protect him than to fight him.
I've got a lot of time for the boat, even though he's just walks a sheep from up the road like, but that's his own fault, isn't it? You know what I mean?
A nasty street fight between Nottingham Forest and Manchester United supporters is captured on an amateur video. The hooligans were on their way to Wembley for the Rumbelows Cup final.
Top boys ain't bullies. Some of them are probably just natural leaders. They unite people, and it's better to be together than against each other.
They got the feeling if they go to some other city and they're with you, then they've got the feeling that we're okay. We only used stripes over the years.
The judge heard the violence on Nottingham streets reach terrifying proportions after Forest's final match of the season last April.
Forest's firm had their own unique welcome for opposing hooligans visiting their ground beside the River Trent.
I had a little rumour that used to chuck them in the river, is that true?
Used to, what you call it, bring these specials this way. That's why it used to always kick off down this end. So they'd be used to march them over the bridge this way, and then we used to end up scuffling on the bridge.
I can remember Derby called it on with us, didn't they? So we were surrounded and the police were going by with the trunks. One of them actually dived in to get away from us. Actually dived in the Trent.
Really?
Straight up. God, I saw it with my own eyes.
Today, Derby play at their ultra-modern stadium, Pride Park, but their old home, the now demolished baseball ground, had a reputation of its own.
The baseball ground is right on their doorsteps. Before the Rams play at home, the barricades go up. It's a way of life. For some, the wire mesh is a permanent fixture. They've got used to the hordes of hooligans who fight in the street and vandalise their homes.
A national newspaper dubbed it a street of fear.
This is Cambridge Street, reputed to be the hardest street outside a football ground on a Saturday afternoon. There's only two ways to get to the baseball ground. That's the baseball ground down there. There's two ways, the wrong way or the right way. If you come down this way, this was the wrong way. Terraced areas, side streets, alleyways. The lads in the 80s used to come from every angle coming. Unbelievable.
Cambridge Street was a daunting place for away fans to visit during the heyday of the baseball ground.
They must have been bottled up all day thinking, eventually, we've got to walk down Cambridge Street. Because when 3 o'clock comes, that's when it's game on. Before they knew it, 200 youths was massed out on this road ready for them. And there's only one way to the baseball ground, and that means coming through the mob. And that would have been playtime. That's what it's all about. This is Cambridge Street, the real street. The hardest street in England.
The lifestyle around the firms is an essential part of the hooligan culture.
Everyone likes to work all week, a few of the lads out together, everything comes into it. You're deciding what clothes you're going to wear, you know, because everyone wants to be the smartest firm as well.
When you walk downtown, 40 of you, everyone knows who you are. It's like the old Marlon Brando and all that scenario, do you know what I mean? And it just creates an aurora all around you and in the pubs where you go.
The women, they like the power thing, don't they?
Yeah, when they're walking down your arm, holding your hand.
Same with the gangs.
Do you know what I mean? They think that, do you know what I mean? They think they're there.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is, isn't it?
They love the power.
Exactly.
Trip.
But then again, no matter how long you're in with a bird,
yeah.
When Saturday comes, the bird goes out the window.
Yeah, of course.
You're there for the beer and your mates.
Last 6, 7 months, I've just been out with a solicitor.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, sir. Like a bit of rough, don't they? Like a bit of us, don't they?
I just got a bankman's arrest. I was with her for 2 years.
And she knew the score of everything you do?
She knew the score, everything, rough diamond. Everyone you say, what's she doing with you? Or what are you doing with her? But it's like that, it's chalk and cheese. Two opposites from other side.
Yeah.
And I mean the total opposites from different ends of the scale, mate.
Yeah.
And that is it, that's the attraction.
We're all together, yeah.
When I got married, I mean, I didn't marry anybody. I got married because I love the girl, so it was, you know, but I still found it hard to get away from the football. It still dragged me back in there. You know, perhaps it ruined my marriage in the end, I don't know, but, you know, one of them things, I never left the football.
In the multicultural East Midlands, the issue of race is never too far away.
There's no racism in the firm I go with, because look at me, I'm black. But you can go to other towns, you go to Hull City or Leeds, and the O'Grands are doing Zico. Well, in a way to our lads, that just G's everyone up. We're glad they do it, because if they fancy a bit of black afterwards, they can have a bit.
It's very interesting that the press always play on the racism of football firms and football hooligans, and they very often don't see or neglect the focus on the greater integration as well.
Over at Forest, a Sikh is a respected member of their firm.
A Sikh means warrior. That's my background, you see. Some lads can be a bit dubious, where, like you say, they don't know how to take me.
I'd say it took about 5 years to be accepted, you know, within the lads. It took a lot of hard work for him, I think.
At times it was scary actually, to be honest with you. I used to think, you know, Jesus Christ, he looks a bit rough. You know what I mean? And he looks a bit of a nutter.
For Suki, the firm offered vital support after the deaths of his 2 brothers, his sister and his mother.
On a Saturday, it was like one of them where I didn't need to think about my brothers and my sisters, you know, just for one day maybe, because it was constantly at the back of my mind.
I remember one game and they all got up singing "Your leader's a packer." That's the way it is at football, isn't it? You know, people like that football, narrow-minded people.
They'll either text one of our lot or ring us or be shouting, "Who's that packer?" And you know, and I'll be like, "I'm not a packer because I'm Indian," you know what I mean? And like, that's how like some so dim they don't know what the difference is. It's like they might be English, like me calling them a Welsh bugger. You know what I mean? Some of the community know what I get up to, and they sort of just turn a blind eye. Then like there's some of them who like basically think I'm a right bugger. A lot more Asians have got into playing football, and plus they're going to watch football, but a lot of them are getting into the other side as well. They're getting into like the scrapping as well. I had a bit of an incident at Nottingham train station, and I bumped into a load of like Leicester, and there was an Asian guy who started on me from Leicester. I couldn't believe it.
They call me baby boy, part of a new generation.
The other main firm in the East Midlands is Leicester's Baby Squad. Now, I'm off to meet them now. Now, somehow, I don't think their main activity is going to be child's play. Do you know what I mean?
Police say it was the worst night of violence in Leicester. Gangs of youths moved into the Highfields area, and it was here the worst rioting took place.
Leicester's Baby Squad formed in 1982, uniting warring gangs from different council estates across the city under the banner of one firm.
A defence solicitor produced leaflets which had been distributed urging the baby squad to riot at football matches. One tells away fans where to meet up so they can smash Derby's town and ground.
It's a naughty little name, that,
Yeah,
isn't
it is, yeah.
Because you think,
We ain't babies, are we?
no, that's what I'm saying. But you think, oh, well, we're going to visit the baby squad. Yeah, we're going to visit them. And then you lot turn up. You know what I mean?
We was all young in them days, right? We was all like
Run them
baby
cockneys
faces
all over the
and all
shop.
that. Yeah, we've done everyone in this day, haven't we?
Yeah.
These baby-faced assassins were making very grown-up headlines in the mid-80s.
The main problem for the police is identifying the young thugs. They wear smart designer clothes, Fiorucci jeans, fashion T-shirts, like any other youngster until they pull a razor-sharp Stanley knife, the trademark of the baby squad.
The baby squad's main rivals aren't from the Midlands. It's Chelsea, over 100 miles away. The biggest clash with the Londoners took place around Filbert Street in 1989, the same day as the Hillsborough disaster.
It was probably certainly the worst or best, whichever way you want to look at it, riot, if you like, that day. It was mad, that was.
What
absolutely
sort of
mad. Chelsea, 300-400 lads, I'd have thought. We probably half that. But I think the old Bill, to be quite honest, lost control that day.
Really?
Yeah.
Young and old came to pay their respects.
While Hillsborough had nothing to do with hooliganism, its effect on the firm was obvious.
I didn't know nothing about it myself till I got home. Then, obviously, the wife said there's been people killed at football matches, etc. It's, yeah, very sobering thought.
Become a disaster.
Being in a firm has an impact on family life.
Obviously, the wife said that she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. But having said that, it's better me doing that than going to nightclubs and doing the other. Do you know what I mean? Which
so she knows where you are, doesn't she?
Yeah, we tend not to talk about it, to be quite honest.
The baby squad view their firm as an extended family.
Hello, baby. How are you? You all right?
It's not a firm. This is a family. This is a proper family. It's not a firm. It's a family.
There's 200 football leagues, but the families must be, I don't know, 1,000.
We go to birthdays, we go to weddings, and we're always together, always. My dad died when I was in prison, and I couldn't go to my dad's funeral, right? The amount of people who come to see me and the letters I got, you know what I mean? And that got me through. That got me through, and that is strong.
Baby squad to me, it is my art.
Yeah.
The girlfriend might not like it, I don't, but
Every one of our girlfriends know each other. They know what we're about. Bless them.
The girlfriends are also part of the wider family the firm represents, and they offer a unique perspective on the hooligan culture.
Every Saturday I'm going football, and I think, I'd like a Saturday with you on my own. Yeah. But no, that's it.
It's over my fast
Can't
skin.
do it. Saturday crew, they come first.
It is an attraction, isn't it? It's like, I mean, not like being famous, but it is in your own town because everybody knows who they are and you go into every pub and everybody knows them.
It's a bit of security, I suppose.
I can see why girls find them attractive and
Because I feel
want to be a
secure
part of it.
with him. Smile on his face, just...
The whole build up to it in the morning, the music comes on, the jam CD comes on, the clothes come out, it's like 6 in the morning, running around the football songs and it's like, that is my life, full night.
I've been to a couple of the matches and actually been involved. You can see the buzz, what they're getting from, but sometimes, you know, you get a bit scared. I mean, I've actually been there when somebody has turned on me, you know, but luckily I sort of got out of it because one of the lads stepped in, stood straight in front of me and said, you know, don't need to, it's nothing to do with her.
Personally, I do get like sometimes when he goes out and think, oh, but then I think, oh, he'll be alright.
Yeah.
You sort of get a flash of, or you get a little bit worried and you could be this, but you know, more often than not, they're all fine. So
Yeah, they're all fine, they all stick together. I'm
But generally
quite
it's just-
confident that he's got his head screwed on.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
knows what he's doing.
After the break, we look to the future and ask if the mantle is being passed from father to son within the hooligan firms.
There is in Leicester, actually, at least 3 dads who are hanging around with the firm, and also their sons.
Former hooligans now seek out new avenues for their passions. Mark Chester used to be a leading light in Stoke City's naughty 40, but today you're more likely to find him leading the chants at his local non-league side, Alsager Town.
Alsager Town! Alsager Town! You pick me up! You pick me up! When I am told! When I am told! Alsager Town!
This is all about football supporters having a fantastic time. You know, this is passion. People off the local estate following the local team. £5 entrance. This to us is proper football again. You know, this is what we live for now. Non-league football, fantastic.
And action.
David George, a former Zulu, is challenging the stereotype of football hooligans having no brains and no talent.
People in power, high positions. I've always said football fans who go down to football and they actually fight are mindless thugs. But I beg to differ, because within the chaos and the madness, you always get creative people within that group.
David's launched a production company that's creative in many different fields. Short films, fashion. He's even written a book about the heyday of the Zulus.
Many of these guys are the urban entrepreneurs. They're the guys that have created businesses. You know, to see football hooligans as a group who are mindless thugs is tremendously naive.
Cut.
Former hooligans can now reflect on their past together.
We're all grown men now. I mean, like I said, we're all grown men. We're all reformed characters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This past 2 years, isn't it? Everyone's been having a drink together now, ain't they? Myself, you, Lester and that.
Yeah.
It's good to talk.
Yeah.
Talk about old times. You know what I mean? Why scrap each other? It's better to talk about that. I'm doing a course in criminology and that at the moment, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it just gives me an insight into why things were done when they were done and that, you know what I mean?
As one generation of hooligans call it a day, the focus is on the youngsters coming through. Within Leicester City's firm, the Baby Squad, father-son relationships exist.
If I was a proper dad, I suppose, I'd say no, don't do it, but what can I do? I did it, and he's just...
But he is a proper dad, but then he can't stop me from doing it anyway. I'm old enough now and I can choose my own things, and if I've got my dad there to help me along the way, I think it's a lot better as well.
I'd rather my son partake in something like this than burgling someone's house for a fix of heroin or happy slapping or something like that.
You get upper-class families who have army officers where the father wants the son to become an army officer. In these guys' eyes, it's no different. And, you know, in many ways, it's what happens in families. Families want to continue traditions.
I'm proud of him because of what he is in the film. And I want to be like that one day. I want to be top boy one day, but it's just the way it is.
But Gilly Shaw, who was top boy at Wolves' Yam Yam Army, is adamant his son does not become a hooligan.
I don't want to get the hassle when I've had. I don't want to get the hassle. I mean, he gets hassle now for being my son. Imagine what he got if he was like me. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't live with it. I don't want it to happen. I mean, no, I don't want it to happen. I don't like to think about it.
He looks after me. He does right by Dad. He takes care of me at football. If I had a son, yes, I'd want him to be Leicester's #1 one day. I would.
My trip through the Midlands has revealed that hooliganism is very much alive and kicking today, and the firms will be around for some time yet.
But there always seems to be another firm coming behind. It's like with Derby, there's the DLF, there's the Derby Orphans, and there's the Derby Youth firm. That's 3 firms. It's like being inside a factory. It's coming off a conveyor belt. There's always a firm coming off. And exactly what it is, that's a real football factory. My lad will never join the firm. I advise him against it. And the thing about it, he wants to become a copper. Ho, ho, ho.